Okay, I think we'll get started. So today we're going to talk about syncing a drive. Now notice I'm saying syncing and not sharing a drive. And so I started this project thinking this is going to be a pretty easy one since we already have a video on how to mount a drive. And so we should be able to share a drive across the network and all the individual LuckFoxes can mount to them. Well, there's two basic protocols for that, NSF or Samba, and these are typical ways a Linux machine will share a drive across a network. But neither of these worked, and the reason for that is, as you might expect, the LuckFox build of the Ubuntu distro is really scaled back because you don't need a lot of bloat at all, and you want the microcontroller to do what the microcontroller does. So we are really pushing this in an area that really was not a natural application for the LuckFox to be part of this LuckFox network that we've built here. So missing a lot of dependencies, and it looks like it was pointing, at least with my novice understanding of Linux here, it points to the fact that one would need to rebuild the kernel for that. And I think that would be a good project down the line because there are certain things that are missing in here when you want the LuckFox to do one thing or another. And so it would be kind of nice to be able to fiddle with the actual distribution that is running on the LuckFox. So we're going to use a little workaround. It's not quite as nice as a true sharing protocol, but it's pretty darn good actually. And that is we're going to sync a drive. And this would be I think it's very analogous to if you have Google Drive synced to your home computer. So a folder shows up in your file manager, say on Windows or on a Linux machine, and you can see your contents of your Google Drive, and you can write and do that back and forth. You're not actually on that Google Drive, you're seeing a synced drive, and the Google Drive application that you install is controlling that syncing. And the same, I think, is true for Dropbox. The package that we're going to use is called Syncthing, and so this ends up working fairly well. And so we will be starting this video assuming you already have a drive. You've gone through the video of ours where we've mounted a drive. And so that's video number 13. This does a web camera. It sets up the USB port, does a web camera, which you don't need for this, and also does a thumb drive. So if you look at the setup for how to set up your USB drive, and then go to the end of that video and look at the USB thumb drive, then that's all you need. If you're starting brand new from here, the LuckFox tutorial and particularly Fusion Automate on YouTube will go through a very nice how to install Ubuntu onto the LuckFox, and that's what we're doing. And then you should look at our first video, not of this playlist, but of the related playlist on the mini course on the LuckFox to look at some of the setup. So that, and so Lab 1 and Lab 13 of the other playlist is what you need. For today specifically, we're going to set up the mount so it occurs on boot. That wasn't done over here, and in this network setting, you're going to want it to be that if the network goes down, it comes back up, the drive is booted. We're going to install Syncthing. We're going to interface through the web. This is a one-time only setup. Once you're set up, then everything will work regardless, and then we'll do some testing. All right, let's get to the computer. Okay, so now we will go out and get the setup guide, and we'll walk through the setup guide now. So if you just go to our website here, and if you haven't been, just in Google type Darren Olness, and it's darrenolness.com. And so then it'll be teaching. So once we get here, it'll be under teaching and LuckFox. So this says a little bit about the course, but then we'll scroll down towards the bottom here, and we're looking for the syncing LuckFox network drive PDF file. We won't need any Python files for this video. So we can click on that, and there is the file. You can read this, download it, whatever you'd like to do. But we'll walk through this now. I have a copy up here already downloaded, and so we're going to start here with section 3. So as I mentioned in the intro, we'll offload the work of getting a drive set up and mounted for the other video. So if you haven't done that, make sure you go and check that video out. So in order to save some time with this, we're going to assume that you're coming off of the video from the LuckFox course where we're working with the USB drives. And in there we talk about mounting a thumb drive. So if we look at our system here, I've got the drive attached to the bottom LuckFox. And if you recall, I'm calling that LuckFox 200, then the next one up is 202 and 204 and 206. So we are putting the drive on 200. So I've got a terminal open here. I've got actually terminals open for all 4 of the LuckFoxes. We're going to focus our attention here on terminal 200 or LuckFox 200, and we'll just walk through setting up the drive so that it automatically starts when the system boots up. So let's just follow the procedure here. So first thing we're going to do is make sure we can identify the drive. And you've done this if you did the video on setting up this, but I'll just go ls block here, and we can see, notice in fact we can see the mount point here. If you haven't mounted the drive yet, again you should go back and do that with the other video, then you wouldn't see this here. But this clearly identifies the 32 gigabyte thumb drive that we're seeing here, this pink one here. Okay, I'm going to skip the F disk. You can do that. That simply further helps you identify the drive. Let's now get this unique identifier. So we're going to need this. This is going to be very important. So we'll go sudo blkid dev sda1, because that's what we've identified as the drive we're interested in. And we get this information. And what you're going to want to do is copy this bit right here that's in quotes, and copy that and put it into a text editor. I'm not going to do that. I already have it set up, and this number is going to be different for your drive. So you want to make sure that you copy this correctly. Okay, now what we need to do is another important thing, and that is ID yourself. And this will likely be the same if you've followed along this whole series. It'd be whatever you call yourself, and then we need the UID and the GID numbers. And in my case here, they're both 1001, and that's likely the case for you. But whatever they are, you want to make sure that you write those down. Okay, so now we want to make sure that we've created a drive, and you should have done that already if you were following along in that other video. So I'll just expose that here. And so the directory is my USB. And so let's switch to that. And just confirm there's files on here. So a bunch of text files that I've been practicing with, this PowerPoint presentation as well. So this is definitely the drive, and it's seeing all the files, and we can read and write to those files. So I'm going to back out. You don't necessarily have to back out here, but we have this mount point created, and it's successfully mounted. Now I'm going to skip this step here. That should be okay for you. And so now what we're going to want to do is make sure that we make a backup, because when we set up the automatic mount, if we screw this up, that can cause problems, and you could end up in the case where you have to reset your whole SD card. So let's go sudo cp and nothing should happen here. This just make a backup file for you. And so you should just get a new line here. Now let's go ahead and let's edit the mounting file. Okay, now yours will have lines up to here. And this is the new line that you want to add. So right here, this line right here from the study guide. And we can see here that that's what's here. Now, what's critically important is that you get this exactly right. So this will be different than the study guide, right? So this will be, or the setup guide. This will be whatever you got here. Also, this might be different. You probably didn't use Darren as your directory. So wherever you set up your mounting directory, and then your UID should be whatever you wrote down, and your GID should be whatever you wrote down. Then finally, you want to have no fail here. What this does is if you pull the drive out and not using it for some reason, you boot up your network, you just want it to sweep right past the fact that it couldn't mount that drive. So that's important to have this no fail here. So once you get this line in, then save and edit or exit, and then you really should be good to go. So I'm going to just stop here with this section of the video, but what you would do then, just to be sure, unmount your drive and then remount your drive, and then try to verify that your drive is there. So you've done some of this in that previous video. So just basically unmount to remount. If it mounts, then you probably did it correctly. So then the final test is to actually reboot the system and then make sure it comes up and you can get to the drive without having to manually mount it. If it doesn't, then go back and check to make sure everything you did up here was correct. Okay, so that is mounting the drive. Now let's think about how we're going to synchronize this. So as I said in the beginning, we can't share the drive with NFS or with Samba. We have to sync the drive, and we're doing it with this Syncthing package. So let's go through how to set that up. Now I have set it up on 200 and 206. The setup is exactly the same for all of these, even whether it has the drive in it or not the drive in it. So we will go ahead and set this up. So I'm going to just set up on 202, and if I screw up, I'll pause the video and then maybe I'll start with 204, but we'll try to go through 202 here. Then we would do identical for 204, and I've already done it for 206, as I've said. So I've got a little cheat sheet here. So instead of copying or watching me type these longer things, I'm going to just grab those. But basically, we're putting this information in. Notice one thing I should say is when you copy, if you're copying from the PDF, be careful. It sometimes puts spaces in that aren't supposed to be there and so on. So just be careful. If you're getting error messages, that's the first thing you should look for. Okay, so I am going to now work on 202. So that's over here. I'm freshly logged in, and I'm going to grab now this. Now, this won't do anything. It'll just kind of take a little bit and then come back. That's fine. And then we'll do the next line. So what we're doing is we're working through both of these, 1 and 2 here. Again, this won't do anything. Now we'll do sudo app update. So I'll get that started, then I'll pause the video, and then come back when it's updated. Okay, now we're back. So now I will go on to the next line, which is to install Syncthing. And I'll pause the video here too. Okay, now we are going to run Syncthing. Now this is going to hang up, but we need to let it run for a bit, and then we'll Control C out of it. So we're going to go Syncthing no browser. And so what you want to do is just let it hold for a little bit. I'm not exactly sure what all is going on in the timing of it, and it doesn't really indicate much, but we see things still happening. So what we want to do is just sit and wait for it. Be a good time if you need to take a little break or something. It will end up just hanging up and not going anywhere. What needs to be done is really what we need to do is see that this has happened. So we're probably okay right now, but I'm just going to pause the video, probably just sit on it for a minute, minute and a half, and then I'll come back. Okay, so not much has happened here, so I'm going to hit Control C, and that should kick us out of this. So we should have created the files we need to create. So let's go ahead and edit one of those. So we're going to edit the Syncthing config file. And here's where we want to look for, and it's easy to kind of miss this, but we're going to scroll down here. And we're looking for this bit here. And here we are right here. And we need to change this now so that it gets, gets out on the port so that we can actually set things up in a browser and get this working sort of generally. So we need to change the 127 to a 0, and we need to change the 1 to a 0. And then Control X and Y and get out and save it. So now we should be all set. So now we need to get this running. So we will go ahead and enable service. Okay, and now we're going to check the status of this, and we should see that it's running. So let's check that. If everything's installed okay, then it should be running. Okay, so this is running. Sorry for the abrupt jump in. I forgot something that we need to do, and so let's get this in right now before proceeding. So as you're following along, this is exactly the right sequence you want to get into here. So we are hung up here. We've started our service. We can close this. It's still going to be running. So let's check that. We can just run that command again, and it's still active. So we can close out of here. It doesn't stop the syncing. So what we need to do now is we need to make a directory that we want to call the same for all these. So if I go back to 206, I can see here I'm in the home directory. So in 206 here, home directory, we want rockshare USB. You can name this whatever you want. This is not important, but you want it to have this name, and we want to create this drive here. And so let's see that we have that. We have that here. Now we're ready to proceed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to open up a browser. And so I've got, well, let me go back to this here. We're going to go to this port right here. So I'm on 202, so this is exactly what I want here. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to open up 202 and hopefully we'll see it there. And we did see it here. So you're going to get a lot of warning signs. This is on your local network, so you're safe right now. But this would be a very vulnerable spot if it was out in the open. So we're just going to click no here. Okay, so now what we want to do is let's go back to the guide. We'll go to the actions and we're going to get a unique ID. So this is this up here. So we're going to want to copy this, but actually we don't really need to. Let's go ahead and copy this, but we should be able, it should pick it up when we try to sync with other machines. But let's go ahead and copy this just in case. And I will open a new text editor and just paste that in there. And I'm going to write down that this is LuckFox 202 for me. Now, we want to add a remote device. And we see these other devices. These are the codes for the other LuckFoxes that are running. This is LuckFox. I happen to know this is LuckFox 200. I choose this ID. And I call it LuckFox 200. And it should say it's here, but it is disconnected. Okay, so we need to go back to our LuckFox 200, and we're asking to share, wants to connect. So we see now this TZ, this is what we had, this is our LuckFox 202, and we will now add the device. And there it is. And for sharing, so we go to General, then we go to Sharing, and we're going to click the rack shared USB. So this is what this is or the mirrored drive. So let's go ahead and save that. Okay, so we see here LuckFox 202 appearing. It's trying to sync. So let's go back to our LuckFox 202 tab. So here's 200, here's 202, and we get this LuckFox 200 wants to share. So let's add, and this is our folder label, and then here we have to get our folder path. So let's go back to LuckFox 202, whoops, 202. And we'll go into the rack shared USB, and then print working directory. And we will now copy this into the path and hit save. And now let's go back to 202, and the syncing is up to date. So we saw that change from what it was before. So now let's go look at 202. So here's 202. And let's see if it is synced. And sure enough, that was an empty directory. And so we got the files now that are synced. So let's go ahead and test this, and we'll go sudo nano let's see, test from 202.txt. Okay, so this is, we're writing this file on 202 and we're going to see it everywhere. So let's go ahead and just do test from 202, Control X, and let's list in this directory and we should see it, test from 202. Now we'll go back to 200 and now this is a little confusing and I'm not quite sure why this is. If I go ls here, for 200, that's the one that is actually has the drive mounted. So if I go into rack share, I would expect it to be I would expect the files to be there, but they're not going to be there. We just get nothing in there. That's where the 200 is not looking into the mirrored drive or the synced drive. It's looking into its drive. So we want to go to cd my USB, and then ls. And here it is, our test from 202. So let's see if we can open that. And there it was, test from 202. So now let's do sudo nano new test from 200. And so we should see, should be in here. Yeah, new test from 200 right here. Now let's check it on 202. Now I've noticed sometimes it takes a little while. It did show up here, new test from 202. So we'll go sudo nano new test from 200, sorry. And we see new test from 200. Now, 204 is not synced yet. I'll go and do that. I'm not going to show that in the video. Everything will be exactly the same as how we did it. 206, though, let's see what we're seeing here. So we're seeing everything, all these files in here as well. So let's do one last thing. Let's go sudo nano now test from 206. And so there it is in 206's directory. Let's see if it's shown up here. And again, sometimes it takes a little while for the syncing to occur. Now a test from 206 right here. And on 202, now a test from 206. So we see this syncing. Now it's not, as I said in the intro, it's not exactly a shared drive, so it's not as convenient as that, but it's not bad. It's about as convenient as Google Drive or OneDrive syncing on your local desktop. All right, so this is a way that we can get full expanded drive into the little LuckFox rack here. Okay, the final thing we're going to want to do here is to actually shut down the network and have it come back up and see that Syncthing is running again. So let's go ahead and log out of all of our drives. Okay, so we're logged out. I'm going to now go ahead and unplug I think you can see the light, maybe see the lights on here. I'm going to unplug the rack and then I'll plug it back in. I think I'll pause the video after just to give it a little time to come back up. But I'm going to go ahead and unplug this now. And so this is off. I'm going to plug it back in. Hopefully you see it come back to life. I'm going to pause the video here so we don't have to wait the 40 seconds or so that we should to make sure this is all up. Okay, you can see we're all logged back in here. So it came up. I logged in while it was paused. So we're all logged in here. Let's make sure we'll test here. 202 is what we just set up. So let's go cd rack shared USB. And if we're syncing, then we should see this. Because remember, these files are not on this. There's nothing on this LuckFox. It's all on the thumb drive that is not attached to this particular LuckFox. So we see that there. And again, in 200, that's where we are attached. So that is under my USB. And so we should hope that this mounts, which it obviously did from being able to sync, but we'll look again and we see all the files are there. So that does it for this. We have successfully, set up the drive so that it mounts on boot up. We have installed Syncthing. We have synchronized the LuckFoxes to a particular drive, and we've tested files back and forth, and then finally we shut the whole network down, came back up, and it worked.